Hi there, it's Kevin with the Rogue Deck Builder. Here with my sidekick Talmage, we did a video for the top 10 list of cards that we wanted to brew from Spider-Man. And if you haven't seen that video, go back and check that out. That released earlier today, so you're getting an additional video for today. And we thought we'd start messing around with some of the cards on there. And Talmage came up with this awesome combo with Venom from the Spider-Man set. It's called Vigo in the arena, so I can't remember exactly what this one's called, but it's Venom. And we were trying to figure out what the best thing to cheat into play with this ability of whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do draw X cards, you can put a permanent card with mana value X or less from your hand onto the battlefield, where X is sacrifice creature's mana value. Well, lo and behold, you have some amazing 8-drop, 7-drop, 7-drop cards that you can cheat into play really easy by filling up your graveyard. And you can slap out a Colossification and have a 25-25 trampler after it attacks. And we play tested this with this version deck. We kind of took Jodi Keith's version of Golgari graveyards that he did very well with a few Pro Tours ago. Some of the cards have rotated since then. There are also some like Jund and Golgari lists that try to fill up the graveyard and use one of the seasons from Bloomburrow. So their shell has been pretty much known. And there are a lot of options too. This is the first iteration of this deck. I'm sure it will get tuned as we go forward. However, we're 3 for 3 with this deck when running it versus Dimir. I went up against Mono Black just barely. Like Mono Black Demons, the legit used to be tier 1 deck. And then I think Talmage is going up against legit decks as well. And we got the combo off 3 for 3 now as the finisher. So this deck does a good job eating removal spells. You actually still cheat in the diamond weapons and the swarms quite easily. So apologize, this isn't going to be a very tuned list or kind of a tuned up video. I'm not going to do any sort of effects or anything for this. We're just going to get right into the gameplay and show you exactly how this combo works. Let's just go through the deck list really quick though. So Talmage and I disagree a little bit how to build the first end of this. I am going for a Llanowar Elf and a Molt Tender just to kind of ramp things out. I'm not sure if this wants to be the Insidious Fungus, like if you want like more chump blocking type stuff where they can just draw cards and try to dig for what you want. This could be, I think Talmage is running the Rubble Belt that surveils 2 in this 1-drop slot, but you do want to be doing something on turn number 1, and Llanowar Elf just still seems like the best thing to do. And the Molt Tender can find the Jund colors quite easily by exiling a card from the graveyard and then milling a card. There is no main board removal in this. We're just going to try to outpace our opponents. The entire sideboard is just hate cards, or just trying to figure out the best cards to play against the current meta at the moment. So, but in the main, we're not going to even care what our opponent's doing. We're going to try to do our shenanigans quicker than our opponent does. So the 2-drop, there are a couple options here. I think just finding something that finds a land is the best thing. There is a Golgari one that can reanimate a creature, but in this deck you're not reanimating something crazy. You're just reanimating something like a Huckbuster or a Diamond Weapon that can be cheated out anyway. So those aren't the greatest reanimation targets. I also thought about going like say its name as a nice other target. You can get like 4 Say It names in the graveyard, exile them, get a big creature into play that can be sacked, and that can kind of work as the combo. But I think just having chump blockers out, and I wish I would have recorded the last video because all he did was chump block, chump block, chump block, because they had the unstoppable zombie and just kept chump blocking. They had the combo out, the demon and the zombie, but I could just chump block to my heart's content until we did find the combo eventually. And then Summon Fenrir, this could also be the Overlord. I think this one's just fine because it does work pretty well with what this deck's trying to do. Again, this could be any sort of slot here. This could be thought about running the Honest. Is the Honest the one that reduces creature cost by 1 and then returns a creature? There in the sideboard, there's plenty of options in going this kind of 3-drop slot. And the Sandman also is pretty cool here. So it can't be blocked with creature's power 2 or less and return it to the battlefield and target land to graveyard battlefield tap. So it's like a 5-mana recursion card that is actually kind of tough for control decks to deal with. Not sure if this wants to be in the sideboard or if it does want to be in the main, or if something like another Fenrir is the right route to go. But of course, the Vigo, this return target creature card with mana value 1 or less is actually decent if you get these early and not ready yet, and you can actually transform it later too, like if you have mill to 1-drop, and this also makes your 1-drops a little bit better. So all in all, though, just a pretty straightforward deck. The mana base is probably messy at this moment. I am running only 5 basic lands. It probably needs to go up. Now I'm looking at it, definitely does. Probably going to go down in a Stomping Grounds and up in a Swamp, because we do want double black a lot in this deck. Maybe a green sources here. But Conduit of Pylons too is another one I'm trying to mess around with. I'm not sure if we want any land that comes into play tapped. So this could probably go to just basic lands again, or up in the stomping ground count, or whatnot. So again, we're still tuning this deck to see the right number. So sideboard, just a bunch of hate cards. Insidious Fungus. This is just a creature that can kill an artifact or creature, or basically draw and ramp. And we have Quag Feast. This is something to mill cards and destroy permanents that are problematic. There's a Necropsy. This is actually a very, very strong card if you get enough permanents in your graveyard to destroy multiple targets. Disruptive Storm Brew does not go to your graveyard, but just having a card that you mill that counts towards reduction is actually pretty strong. So, of course, you're going to be casting this for its Petty Revenge, and occasionally for its 5-drop cost to destroy an artifact or enchantment. But again, this is just a very flexible card. Ghost Vacuums versus very similar decks use the graveyard. There are plenty of them in the meta at the moment. Bitter Trance for early aggro decks. You just pitch a card. It actually helps reduce your cost of casting your stuff. The Archivist, I can't remember what this is called in the actual Spider-Man one, but this was pretty neat too, returning a 4 or greater card back from your graveyard to your hand. This can actually get the Colossifications back. So this might end up like replacing the Fenrir if we keep running into, like, if we end up milling so many Classifications, because this is pretty cool. Return target card with mana value 4 or greater from your hand. I think a lot of people read this the other way around, but this is perfect for Classification and perfect for our deck too, because you actually do want these cards to come back. So this might want to be in the main over something in like a Scouring Storm Soul. Like, again, I'll mess around with this to see if that's the right way to do it. It's a nice little chump blocker too. It can exile target artifact enchantment. Obviously, this is probably going to go up in count too. So I think I'm going to actually move that over. No, we'll keep it as right now just to show it, but this is definitely a huge option. Of course, Harvester Misery is another one that can come in early versus aggro-based decks. Discard it, adds to the creature count. We've saw it. I'll see a lot of play in like the Jodi list back when this was a very popular deck before the rotation. So anyway, let's just play some best of ones and see what we can do real quick. Like I said, we're running late here at the store. It's closing time. We need to go home and start the next day. But as I stated, we want to get back into it. I'm glad we're excited to actually brew. This is our first little iteration of what we can do with these new Spider-Man cards. And so far, so good. See if I can get some highlights here for this kind of crazy combo. And it's like, Classification has been a kind of a pet card for mine in a long time. I had a Pioneer deck that I played quite religiously that tried to cheat out a Classification. Same thing on an attack trigger. So it was the card that brought back auras. And this kind of feels like that deck. It's not as explosive as that one was because that was a turn 3 deck. However, this one is just like a chump block. And we're going to win a lot of games just by having big butts on the board. So I'm not quite certain this is a keepable hand. I'm going to keep it where the elves are quite weird. This might not be a keepable hand, but Conduit Pylons again is going to be, we don't mill a lot here. We're definitely going to surveil everything. Ooh, yep, I think we surveil the Classification. It's fine. And, oh, it does not enter tapped. I need to learn how to read. Why does it think this one enter the battlefield tapped? It does not. This actually is pretty good. So we do need to find, like, the green source for Land or Elves comes into play quite late. So I think we'll do another Conduit. And that one's just going to have to go to the graveyard too. So we're off to a bad start here, but we'll see what we're up against with an Escape Tunnel. It looks like this is going to be just the, what's this, the landfall deck. I mean, this is the deck, the go-to deck right now to basically, it doesn't cost a lot of wild cards. A lot of them are uncommons, and it's just an aggro-based shell. We have a terrible hand against this, so we just need to get as many cards in the graveyard as possible. So we can go with a, yeah, I'd like to find a Fable Passage just to find the double green to be able to cast next turn, just to have a chump blocker, I think. I don't know if that is better than tapping out. I think it is. We're just going to get a Swamp, call it good. I don't know I need to do this now. We can wait, but yeah, let's do a Swamp. We'll do the Overlord. We could die next. I mean, this deck can turn 3 with the right cards, and we do hit the card we need to hit. So we have the combo, sort of. We need to mill more. Unfortunately, we have pretty bad mill cards in our hand. We just have put the Town Greeter is all in a Marauder. We actually don't have a card to work with Vigo. Like, Vigo doesn't have a 1-drop to get back right now. I could chump block next turn to get one back, but we could just die. I mean, this deck does kill on turn 3 if you don't do anything a lot of times. They have the Hydra that's coming in. We're just taking 2. So we just basically have to race here. That was another terrible card. I'm not quite sure how we can get out of this because this is going to be 6 mana. This will take our double green. I still think that's the better thing, just to try our best to top deck. Or do we want to leave back a land or elf to block with and just go like a Vigo? So Vigo could do that. We could go Vigo and then just do a land or elf to block, and that reduces. I think that might be better. Unfortunately, there's no 1-drop. That's actually pretty bad. I don't know. Well, let's do this and hope for the best here. And this one's not looking good for us. We had a poor opener. Now I say 3 for 3. This definitely wasn't a keepable hand. I probably should have mulled it. This deck should mulligan quite well. I don't know if our opponent still knows what we are doing. So this, yeah, double. So Traveling Chocobo is going to make both of these double up, but we actually might buy a turn here. No, Fatal Passage is going to be rough. Puts up to a 4/4. Trample. They both have Trample. So we can kill the Tifa Lockhart, though. And no, we just die here. Yeah, doubles and doubles. Okay, we'll go on to the next one here. This is a deck, though, that you can have a lot of play with just removal. Like, I think it's a pretty cheese deck. I know a lot of people do run it, but it is your go-to aggro deck that takes, like, no wild cards. That's why everyone, their dogs on it. I guess I can't stand about Arena. I really wish the platform was still over to MTGO, because MTGO actually incentivizes brewing, because brewing cards end up being incredibly cheap compared to just, you know, any rare. And so you end up happening, like, Arena, you get stuck oftentimes in these metas that just play out. Decks require very little wild cards. Like, I know Mono Blue, clear back in like Dominaria days, was so obnoxious because everyone was on it because it was so cheap to build a deck on Arena, and it was like a tier deck. This is another terrible hand with the, like I said, our base, our mana base is pretty bad. So this is also going to be a mulligan, unfortunately. So we have to go down to 5. And this one is the best we can hope for. We have a lot of redundant cards here. We just need some help to find the cards we need. We do have the town greeter that will find us lands, and then this marauder can help us get back into what we need to. So that is actually a decent card to pick up. Hopefully we can mill a bunch of creatures. But the more I'm thinking about it, that returning the permanent card is actually pretty clutch. So we do have 3 creatures got milled, so we're getting close. At actually, not next turn. If we draw into a basic land, we'll be able to cast it out, but we did not. So let's go ahead and just crack before we mill, because we do probably want to find the double green here for, yeah, and then we'll do another town greeter, and then we'll swing in for 1. I'm not quite sure it even matters if we swing in for 1 here. Unfortunately, there's a Colossification that we have to pitch, but we do have, like, a Harvester next turn we can throw in. We have a Diamond Weapon we can throw in. We can actually throw in both of them, and then we'll have the Scouring Storm Soul that is something that can be cast. And I wonder if our opponent's like, what is this Colossification doing in here? Well, hopefully we can answer that question for them. And unfortunately, too, like, this is a mold of 5. If we had 2 more cards in hand, you can just kind of think of what we could accomplish. Unfortunately, this Kaido is going to be very, very tough to beat. We'll probably end up attacking in with both of it just to try to wheedle down. And I think that's the right play. I think we go the Marauder into the Diamond Weapon and just try to put as much pressure on our opponent as possible. Diamond Weapon can be tapped down, unfortunately. That is not what we want. Yeah, we'll just go into Kaido here. Kaido's down to a 3. So, actually, this isn't the one. Yes, it can tap something down. Puts a stun counter and taps it down. We still have a blocker, though, on the Marauder if we really want to. It does end up killing Kaido, but it is something that can stop from drawing a card. Oh, it does turn into 3/4. Never mind. I am bad here. So it can actually turn into, oh, it +1. Never mind. That's where I'm like, why is this a 4/5? It did +1 last turn. So we'll have to wait and see what our opponent is gonna do. Where they want to put a stun counter. If they do put the stun counter, though, it should be pretty easy to kill on the backswing. And this is actually pretty, yeah, okay. We thought that was coming down. Another Storm Siren. So I'll probably end up just taking the damage, but how in the backswing is my opponent can actually, yeah, they'll be able to survive. So didn't activate, oh, did the stun counter. Yeah, so it does die. Okay, so we could go for it in a few turns if we find the lands to actually cast. Yeah, and find a Colossification too. So I think we'll start off with the Town Greeter and probably just go into a Swarm. Oh, opponent has action. They have something. So we want to attack first before we start casting things. So get back a Wastewood. We are 1 land away. We'll go to combat. We'll go both into Kaido. See if my opponent wants to blow a removal spell for Kaido. And either way, I think we're in pretty good shape. So we're going to block and actually kill a Town Greeter with a removal spell just to keep Kaido alive. Okay, so a couple of options here. I could go the Huckbuster, or we could just go for... Oh, we have both. We have enough for both. Let's do both. Okay, this is good. We're in great shape, mulling to 5. Unfortunately, we mill another Colossification. Don't find a land with our Wayfarer. And we do get a Huckbuster, though. So this is the problem. Our opponent doesn't have any... can't really do anything, can surveil. This is going to start untapping. In a few turns, anyway. Our opponent's just down to 2 cards. They do have map tokens. We have the Scouring Storm Soul that's going to start coming back. We have Vigo, and then that will get us a land back for Vigo. And again, unfortunately, the Colossification is milled. I do believe that 4-drop is going to be key for this deck for those scenarios where you need to get Colossification or the Venom back in your hand. I keep calling it Vigo. I'm going to start naming these cards Arena cards. I'm just going to scoop it up because they just can't... Like, this is what I like about this deck, too. The value of this, just casting these creature-based cards. I mean, Dimir always struggled against this thing. I mean, post-main, they bring in Graveyard Hate. It gets kind of awkward at that point. You're casting a bunch of, like, really bad cards at that point, but that's something we'll have to address. But Graveyard Hate is a real thing with Rest in Pieces. There's plenty of, with Ghost Vacuums, plenty of things out there right now. Trying to get a combo off here, and then we'll tune this more and actually do a full series with this deck list. Okay, so this is going to be, I want to say a mulligan because we have no mill. So I'm going to mulligan it away. This is fine with the 2-drop mill. Oh, man, is Overlord actually... I think it's actually the Anak Wayfarer because it's plenty of mill. We can start off with a Fabled Passage or a Wastewood. Either one of them is fine. I think that we just go Fabled Passage, get a green source now because we know we need double green. We do need to find red later on, but I think double green is the smart move here. It also turns on the Wastewood Verge. Deep Cavern Vax, fine. I mean, what do they take here? Probably the Overlord is what I would take. Because we're just going to be casting one of these next turn. Possibly I could have just bottomed the Tender. Yeah, I don't know what my opponent takes there. We do have one of the combo pieces now. We go Town Greeter. So a lot of these mono... This could be a Dimir deck too, or a mono black deck. So we get back our red source here. And a Colossification does go to the bin, unfortunately. So it's one out of the way. Next turn we do have like a... You're going to take Venom here, probably. Alrighty. So we might just die to some Deep Cavern Bats getting bigger and bigger. So the Pylon is probably the right play because we're not needing any red mana. So Surveil 1, put this in the bin. Diamond Weapon is getting closer. Yeah, we'll go Town Greeter. And mill some more. And unfortunately, we find another Vigo. And we'll go the Tender here. And attack in. So, kind of at the mercy of... Now they can run all the Deep Cavern Bats they want. So we can go Strategic Betrayal. Okay, that is, like, terrible. Oh, it exiles my graveyard, too. That's rough. That's just a Strategic Betrayal in the main. Alright, so we need to fill back up our graveyard, which we did find a card for it. Unfortunately, no, yeah, now we're still a ways away from... filling up our graveyard. Another Colossification. At this point, I think we just take back a Marauder. Yeah, and just hope for the best here. And we go into attack with both. Opponent's down to 3 cards. We do have this Impending Doom Overlord that hopefully can come out. Opponent probably does have a lot of control left in the hand. But we can cast this Marauder next. Oh my gosh. So just main four strategic betrayals are going to be good enough to beat us down. So now we need to find more mill, which we do, though. So we'll keep finding mill cards. They'll eventually run out of that, right? We can get back another land. We'll get the Wastewood Verge and keep attacking in. And maybe this Overlord will win us the game by flipping over eventually. Our opponent is getting flooded, but they do have the Bloodletter. That's going to put us on a clock for sure. We do have a blocker, though, next turn. We get another Conduit, which hopefully mills. Ooh, we don't want to mill that, I don't think, yeah, because we can just cast this. And so our opponent has to discard a card. We're actually in decent shape. They're at top deck mode now. So, because they have to discard a card, I get to draw a card, and we're basically whoever can top deck at this point. So, I mean, a top deck removal spell, I'll be... The Ruthless Negotiation is rough, but... because they can flash it back. So that was a good top deck because they have the mana for it, but it's not like the end of the world, and I think Diamond Weapon's what we get rid of. But can't attack in here because we have the Marauder, and that was a land. And I guess they are going to attack in, so we will just block. And we can cast the Marauder here. I think we still do just cast it, because won't we get a draw card if they don't discard anything? Yes, we do. Okay, and we get a Diamond Weapon. So I think I'll keep that doesn't matter. If we want to top decks into one of those again, then we can attack them with both Town Greeters. All right, Overlord. The little Overlord that could. So, I mean, we're getting a Soulstorm Sanctuary. That's not going to do it. No attacks in. We can go Wayfarer. I'm not sure this card even matters at this point. So we'll just go Diamond Weapon. It's a good chump blocker, actually. Maybe we just do cast it. And then attack in with Town Greeters. Yeah, it gives us more options, too, with the Overlord. I guess our opponent can turn the Soulstone. I think it's fine. Either way is fine. That was kind of a bad attack, I guess, because of the Soulstone. But we'll go ahead and throw a Wayfarer in here. Hopefully not another... Okay, all lands. That ended up being good. And within our deck are even more with the Fabled Passage. And just be kind of done with it. And now we're ahead. Now our opponent needs to really top deck. Because we got this Overlord that's going to give us a lot of value. We're going to get Hollow... Okay, they're just going to scoop it up. The graveyard just wins. Opponent probably just top deck another land. So... We've seen a bunch of mulligans. We haven't seen a combo yet. So we've just seen... We'll try one more time for the combo. See if we can get it to actually happen. And so what I like about this, too, I don't know if I explained it in the deck tag, is we have the haste as well on the Venom. So Venom comes in with haste, and it can eat one of the guys. And oftentimes you're casting for one. So the game that I actually played, I got up to 7 mana and just cast the Marauder for 1. And then this is a pretty decent hand. We'll keep it. This is our best chance of actually getting the combo off. So we can just... I think we're not gonna use the Conduit right now. We'll just go with a Verge. And then we will keep that on top because we can get it with a Town Greeter. That's fine. So it's a lifelink deck. They could actually get above the Colossification damage. Unfortunately, one Colossification goes to the bin. But we are in decent shape here. Need to gain 3 or more life this turn. So it's an Essence Chandler. That's not going to do it. We get... Yikes. We need some help here with some decent mills. And then... Swamp actually is what we need to turn on these Wastewoods. No attacks. So we can actually block with these, though. Chump block, and then we have some good... plays after this. Okay, so the Soul Sisters are active. A Giant's Primate. Cards are going to start getting big. Not going to be big enough to swing in with these, though. Yes, they are. Blech. So can come in with the Essence Chandler. I think we block, though. We still block with one of them. And That gives us another card in the graveyard, which does allow for the Marauder, which is actually, we could probably just go, we could probably safely do an Overlord, and then a Marauder. But I think we're just we could end up just losing to this. So what would I like back? A Husk? Yeah, definitely a Husk. And we get the Marauder, which does discard a card, but 2/4/4s are going to be rough to deal with. I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to outpace this. Like, we are eating down our opponent's hand, but any top decks are just going to get huge with okay. So we got to just basically stall, and hopefully get enough value. But it's going to be rough. This is going to be tough to do. These things are going to get massive. So this is the problem with not running removal. you do get kind of beat down with these. And like I said, I think the Colossification is going to be out of range for one-shotting. Especially like a Shelter by Ghost. This hurts because it's going to... Yeah. Shelter does hurt. Another Hinterland. And going to gain a bunch of life. So when does this thing get... This thing never gets flying, right? Just, yeah, its counters move over. So definitely just going to chump block. And now we're out of range for the Colossification. So these have Death Touch, though. Death Touch is actually... Don't they have Death Touch? They do. Okay. So these Death Touchers might actually be the key. So we're going to go 1 Death Toucher. 2 Death Touchers. Do we have a 1-drop I can get back just to help mitigate something? We don't. We'll get the Molt Tender. And that just gives us some time. Hopefully there's not another Shelter. If it is, it is. Our opponent just is, lucky with the multiple shelters. But these just blank everything our opponent's doing. They have to have yeah, they have to have they just attack with Pride Mate if they had another. And that gives us some time. Because this Vigo is going to... Okay. So it's going to be a Linden. Yeah, so these just blink everything our opponent does. And the Overlord is hopefully going to get us there. So no matter how big these stupid things get, I think we're in decent shape. But yeah, we're definitely out of range of Colossification. I don't even know. Just Vigo's just got to kill something and get a ton of card advantage back. There's no flyers or something to trample to move these Essence Chandler's tokens over to. So we're in great shape, actually. Yeah, this Death Toucher. Fenrir is terrible. I'm not liking where it goes. We might just go this Scouring Storm Soul. This can draw us a card. Yeah, this is fine. And also thin out our deck. And what do we need? A red source? We do need a red source. We actually still did need that red source. And I could put this out. I'm not going to. Okay. Barring any cataclysmic thing that our opponent draws into, we should be okay. Need to find another Johnny's Pridemate type card. But there's a lot of dead cards now that this Soul Sisters build can find. We do have a Vigo next turn. The Vigo might not even hit a Colossification. I don't even want to kill my little Death Toucher. So, like, the Scouring Storm Soul might actually be the play because it will be pretty big. Because it gets... it'll be a 7/7. And no trample on any of this. Just a land, okay. So, we can actually... Okay, we can do that instant speed, too. That's cool. I didn't even read this with the Scouring Storm Soul. So Fatal Passage, I mean, it's fine. We get to... Do I want to counter? I think that... Or this just returns is when it enters next time you cast a creature spell. So I could go for Vigo here. I'm not sure I'd want to, though. Yeah. We're just not going to get any value out of the Storm Soul, unfortunately. I could just cast one of these Vigos just on the... I think I'd rather do that at instant speed. So, again, hopefully another land drop by our opponent. We don't want to see... I mean, these Death Touchers are doing the work. There is another mill card. This is just a 1/1 Death Toucher that's interesting, just because, again, it just, like, slows everything down. So I wonder if my opponent's going to start getting desperate and just attacking in. He's getting bigger than a 25-25, though. So, who's going to blink first? Okay. Opponent's going to do it. And just move counters over, huh? So I'm not going to get the Fenrir. So I think I'm just chump blocking with Fenrir and what? A Molt Tender? I'm definitely going to kill one of them. Well, definitely going to kill the... Definitely going to kill this guy and go there. I think that's fine. Yeah, so that my opponent just got super impatient, which I think was terrible, because this comes back into play, forces my opponent then to ditch their card in hand, which could be a land, but I mean, still has to... The right play would just be move this to Leonin Vanguard, but it has to ditch a card, and I'm most likely going to draw a card here. Yes, okay. So we're going to go ahead and do this too. So we got an 8/8 that we can sacrifice now. We're going to draw 8 cards. This is actually going to be 9 cards. And we'll have a big creature. All right, this is going to be the turn that does it. Here we go. Fabled Passage is awful. We'll go ahead and go Conduit. Conduit is going to keep that on top. Would be okay. I think we're just going to ditch it to the graveyard. That's fine. So now Vigo comes out. Or Venom. Venom comes out. Venom is going to go to combat. Venom is going to attack in. Venom is going to sack to draw 9. Oh, it just draws 3 cards, huh? Oh, it's to the permanent with the mana values. That was bad, actually, to do that. All right, that was terrible. So we're going to put in a Fenrir, unfortunately. That was not as good as what we thought. I thought I was drawing 9 cards. I need to learn to read cards. At least we get some stuff out of the way. Can't quite get out another one. So opponent's just going to block this, sure. We have additional ones coming up. So yeah, that would have been terrible if we hit a Colossification anyway. I guess we would have drawn into it. Opponent's going to double block? This doesn't have Death Touch or anything. We get to kill the Sanctifier. Yeah, that's fine. So, I mean, I think we will just cast another. No, we don't need to cast anything here. I don't want to mill anything more. We're fine. We're fine. We're fine. Next turn, I'll do it properly. Well, actually, we do need to kill the... the Harvester. Because it did not work how I thought it did with this Scouring. Did not draw 9 cards. We can chump block for days here. So not going to kill my Death Toucher. So pass to blockers. Oh, Death Toucher, I can kill the Hollow Marauder. So maybe we do want to kill with the Death Toucher. So yeah, we'll go here and just here is fine. Okay, let's do this properly this time. Let's go Fabled Passage just to get some stuff out of the way. I think I have one more land in the deck that's eligible to be hit. No, 2 more. Okay, so let's do it properly. And we'll go to combat. Do you want to draw a card first? I think we do. Let's draw a card first. Okay, good. That gives us one less option. Go to combat. Attack in. Sacrifice the right one this time. Come on, Colossification. Hey, we find a Colossification. Our opponent can take a hit, is the sad thing. Our opponent's at 58 life with Soul Sisters. However, we just drew a clutch of cards. We can go Diamond Weapon here. This is another strong card against this deck. And we can just go like a Llanowar Elf is fine, or just another Harvester is fine. Now, opponent should just scoop it up here. Well, let's go ahead and discard a card. It doesn't matter what discard. We don't need Molt Tender. I think Failed Passage still does have technically one. So I'm not sure an opponent could ever draw into here. Like, I don't know if they run like board wipes on their side, but we have another Vigo. Positive ship. There's the scoop. So I got the combo out. It didn't one-shot our opponent. It took forever for us to do it, but you can see how this deck can just keep putting out big bodies. Absolutely loving this deck. We'll continue to tune this, but I'm happy to say that this right off the bat is a success. So Spider-Man finding a card that is fun to brew around is already a success. So again, apologize for no fancy thumbnail, no description stuff. Just to get this out. We'll have a list out probably tomorrow or some other time. We have time to actually get this out. But I just wanted to show this before someone beats me. And maybe someone actually has done this combo yet and we just have been unaware of it. But pretty fun. We'll see you next video.